Put your hands together for the one, the only David Wood.
I swear, he is human. I swear it. If you cut him, he will bleed.
Take it away, man.
You know, funny enough, I used to actually, I was like that kid growing up that forgot his mittens, going to school, 30 below. One time when I was a kid, I'm just going back just to kind of put things in perspective. If there's one goal I actually got in the next 50 minutes or so, it's to, hopefully I can help you guys believe you can do this. You know what I mean? A year and a half ago, like he said, I was living in a green 1996 Dodge Caravan. It was awesome. We used to get tickets from the police at like 2 in the morning, and one time, true story, I told this story to somebody the other day, but actually, this is what I started with. Let me show you guys this real quick. These are the 3 things I started my business with. My home, borrowed money to get a laptop, and I had no money. And so if I can do that, and my first year I could recruit over 2,000 people with no marketing budget at all, you think you could do it? Anybody? And I'm actually going to show you how I did this today. And some of this stuff I've shared with people one-on-one. I haven't really shared it a lot in public before. But I started humble, guys. And so I started marketing online. And this is actually what I started doing. So I get on Craigslist, all right? Because I was so sick of, I got network marketing in 2002, and I really sucked at that old school stuff. And all my friends wanted, my relatives, had a no David Wood sign on their door, You're not allowed to come here anymore with Amway, Or any of that other stuff. There was like 5 of them. But so I couldn't talk to somebody, so I was looking. I started putting ads and interviewing people on the phone, while I was homeless, and sponsored some people doing that, Didn't tell them I was homeless, but, I did tell them what I was doing was really cool. And I hated that. And so I was looking on YouTube one day for a solution, because I was just grinding it. Anybody here feel like you're grinding it, where it's like a struggle all the time? You know what I mean? Or you're getting some results, but it's just painful all the time. It's pain, I got one, and I want to die, that kind of thing. And that was my life, constantly, nonstop in the industry. So I ran across a video on YouTube by Adam Chandler, who's in MLSP, right? And I thought he was this rich guy, and I know now he was, he's doing better now. But, then he was making like, I don't know, $1,000 a month or whatever, one of these internet guys. Yeah, I'm a rich guy on the internet. Click here and join, So I was like, freaking here I am slaving away, and this idiot making all this money on the internet. And he said, buy now, so I hit a button, and I joined. And then 90 days later, I had my first $25,000 week. From a van! Yeah! That's funny. So here's some proof of some results. This is my traffic. I just had to do this one. That's my blog in blue, and here's Magnetic Sponsoring and Jonathan Budd. There's my blog. Now, I can't really compare myself to Dillard, because he smashes me pretty much at everything. But, and he could send an email out, and that would be like 2,000 for the day, This is my actual traffic, though. 70,000 visitors to my blog last month. That was actually taken 451 yesterday. 348,000 page views, right? So each visitor visits, like 5 pages, which apparently is really good. I don't know why. Honestly, I don't even know how this works. This is MLSP, right? So this is one affiliate, 184,000 there, and then number one. And then a lot of these guys are in my team over here. And then 1,614, that was 2 days ago. That's the personal enrollments, by the way, at MLSP. How does a guy in a van do that? You know what I mean? Isn't that cool? And look at me, I'm dressed ridiculous. The amazing MLM guy, isn't that cool? I figured I can't wear a suit because, I just think they're retarded. First week in my MLM company, okay? First week. That was my first week's check. 5 days, actually. And then, no excuses for that, right? Is there really any excuses? You know what I mean? And now, I promise you, guys in here, that at least like 5 of you are smarter than me. Might be 6. And go ahead and pull out a pen because, I'm just going to talk the rest of my presentation. I want to show you guys how I did what I did because people are sometimes a little perplexed by it. You know what I mean? And I think it's funny because honestly, for me, everything's easy now. Like I remember when I used to struggle, I talk to Dave Schwinn about this all the time, like how easy it is to really make money when you understand how to make money, And, if somebody would have told me, I'll tell you a story. I pick up hitchhikers all the time, like that homeless-looking guy in my little self-serving preview that I played earlier. That was a homeless guy, and I picked him up, and I took a video, and I said, what do you think about the government? And he went off for like 10 minutes. It was hilarious. And then I put that on my blog and got some leads from it, actually. But in any case, I thought it was just so funny. He was like, I hate the government, so I moved to Costa Rica. Screw them all, He was like a little Mike Dillard, but with no money. And so I do things like that, funny things like that. But but what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk to you guys about. Isn't that distracting? I love it. I love it. I'm going to talk to you guys about how I went from nothing to something really fast with no resources. Okay. And I'm going to tell you how to sponsor lots of people, right, even if you suck right now. First of all, there has to be some sort of lead component, all right? And it could be anything. I mean, people get so hung up on different kinds of leads, and they think they're different. Really, a lead's a lead's a lead. You could get higher quality leads and lower quality leads, all right? Wandering around in Walmart is getting leads. It's a lame way to get leads, and it sucks, all right? And I've been kicked out of at least 2 Walmarts that way. But they're leads. You say, hey, seem like a sharp person. Got a number, got a card. If not, I got an empty space in the back of this one. You could write your number right there. It's a lead, kind of a lame one. You can also set it up to where you get leads with no effort, Like today, for example, right? Now, it's funny that I don't know where I put the clicker. Hold on a second. Let me show you guys something here. I'm going to show you this. Oh, here we go. See this? All right, hold on. These are 2 people, they joined on the 29th. Where was I on the 29th? I was here. I don't know who any of these people are. That's cool. All right, there's no point in that other than brag. Hi, Ken. All right, so you have leads, and then you've got to have some sort of process here. All right? And if you don't have a process, can you put this whiteboard or me on one of these screens so people can see these letters and stuff, somebody? I don't know if that's possible. But if you have a process, okay, if your process sucks, then it doesn't matter if you get leads. Anybody in here get leads and don't sell anything? Right? Some of you, a few of you. Yeah, I got 100 leads today. Woohoo! Cost me $200, I made nothing. Excited, right? That's never happened to me for some reason. For some reason, I tend to, have high conversions into everything, and all my leads are free still. And I've generated actually over 29,000 leads now for free in 18 months. That's cool. Now, I don't know if anybody else has done that, but it's cool, right? So I'm going to talk about how to do that in my breakout room. So leads, all right. Then you've got to have a process that moves people through the stages and decision of buying. And there's lots of stages that somebody needs to move through to buy. And if you don't control that process, and if you're not good at it, people don't join your business, right? Do you guys realize that? I actually first learned this offline. My first organization was before the van I built, was a nutritional company, and I learned that I could finally recruit. I got involved in this industry in 2002, struggled for a while. I finally learned to recruit offline. And what I learned is that if you control the process through the whole recruiting cycle, you can recruit in any environment, right? When you take those principles and you apply them on the internet, I literally will recruit 80% of everybody I talk to, okay? I mean, it's proof. I'm #1 recruiter in my company, #1 recruiter in Lead System Pro. It's the largest traction marketing system on the internet, and it's easy as heck to do. And honestly, I don't know. I think the only reason more people aren't doing it is because they don't know how. So I'm going to show you how, all right? Ready? So here's the thing. You get a lead, all right? What's the first thing you should do with a lead if you're new? Anybody? Call them. It's a good answer, right? You need to call them. Now, I don't really call my leads anymore. I actually have somebody else call them because I don't have time, right? And I kind of don't want to. But I used to. I used to call everybody the second they opted in because I was living in a van and I needed money. Now, I tried my hardest to not make it sound like I needed money on the phone. That was tough. But I did. I really needed money when I was recruiting on the phone. I had nothing. You guys got to understand, my buddy Chris Rushlow's in here. I don't know if he's in the room. There he is. Give him a hand, right? I used to go to his house and eat canned beans at your house, didn't I? Canned beans. One time I was in his house, guys, and I was eating a can of beans out of a can because I went over to use a shower. You know, I was kind of smelly. And I was eating this canned beans out of a can, and he had roommates, and they said, there's actually a homeless guy eating canned beans out of a can in our house. Right? So if you're in that environment, can you recruit? Well, I recruited 250 people, not into MLSP, but to my company my first 6 months online, doing what I'm about to show you. So does it matter if you have money? Obviously, it doesn't. I didn't have to lie to do it, all right? I did it by acting and behaving in a way that makes people want to join. And dressing however I want to, which is great, all right? I still don't actually have shoes. These are my only shoes, sandals. So in any case, let me explain what to do. So you call a lead. Somebody pointed that out. Everybody here should call your leads if you're new. Later, you can set up processes for that if you've got money. You still need to communicate with your buyers, though, in my opinion, at some point. What should you do when you call the lead? Anybody in here have an idea? Find out what they want. Somebody says what? Qualify them. You could qualify them, all right? Here's what I do. Let me explain to you guys my process, and this process has worked for everybody that I talk to buys something unless they literally don't have a credit card, okay? And then about 80% of those will join my company every time, predictably like a clock ticking, okay? And here's what I do is I call somebody up and let's say, and again, I don't do this so much anymore because I'm just kind of more aloof and usually at the beach when people are opting in. But here's what I do. I call somebody up, I say, Frank, I just noticed you were on my website. I actually wanted to give you a call, let you know I'm a real person. How you doing? Right? You know what that does? It's not a question of, what can I do? Or are you qualified to work with me? Qualifying can sometimes be the wrong word when you're new, right? He just starts talking about nothing. What I then identify is what they're talking about, and then I'm going to ask a person, what can I do for you? Right? I learned that from Danny Johnson, that what can I do for you question. I don't no script to it, really. But I'm going to start listening. All right? This is what I do personally when I call my leads. All right? Now, when you're listening to somebody, what should you listen for? All right? Anybody have an idea? What they need or want? And I'm going to look for something specific. Now, this is in communication when you're, now, once again, there's processes for this later. But in communication when you're new, all right, I'm going to say you want to look for a core need, right? And this is something people will not tell you unless you're connecting with them. They'll lie about it almost every time, all right? Because people love to lie about stuff. Isn't that what an objection is? I don't have money. Pfft, liar, That's what I say. Actually, what I normally say is I say, how old are you? Come on. Well, I'm like 30. You're 30 years old and you don't have money? Are you really that dumb? I mean, I'll challenge people, and they sign up. All right. So I'm going to find a core need. Now, what's a core need? A core need is something where somebody starts talking and they get a little emotional. All right? Everybody here's got a core need, right? And you could go ahead and think about that, what your need is, what you really want in your business, what you're really here at this weekend for. Something in the sales presentation, in the videos, in the emails, a phone call, right? A referral from a friend hit you guys in a way that hit a need that made you want to buy tickets to the seminar, did it not? If that need wasn't hit, you wouldn't be here. So you're all here for something, right? Now, a lot of you have already had that need filled. A lot of you need to have it filled, and you're looking for something, and some of you don't even know what you're looking for. But if you don't really know what this is, it is much more difficult to sponsor people. Now, here's what I do, and I'm going to tell you guys to do this. I'm going to tell you how to do it. The second you know what that is, I start acting like they're already in and telling them what to do. That's what I do, all right? And if you change that one dynamic in your language, you will be able to recruit and sponsor anybody on demand. All right, and here's how that looks. So I'm talking to somebody and I'm asking them questions, and I could go into a lot of questions, but I'll just keep asking them, A lot of people here have script books and things like this, but I'll just keep asking them questions and talking, and I find that, and I can usually get to about 3 minutes, all right, because I'm quick with this stuff, all right? Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell them what to do next, and it always involves buying something. Why? Because you know what, guys? A lot of us love to give stuff away for free, but you know what free equals? No money, all right? You got to tell people to buy stuff. When people call me and they ask me for stuff, what my preference is, and this is the reason I think actually everybody here, I think that it would be a good idea if you could afford everybody's courses to buy everything, really. And the reason is because when somebody has a specific problem, you now have a reference point to send them to that solves this problem that isn't you. Does that make sense? Do you know how much time that will save you? It's unbelievable how much time it will save. So I find the core need, and then guess what I tell them to do? I say, are you in front of your computer right now? And they say, yeah. And I say, now tell me something, Frank. Are you serious about making an extra $2,500 a month? You're just bullshitting. Sorry, I say that. And he says, no, I'm serious. I wouldn't mess around. And I say, then here's what we're going to do. We're going to sign you up for a lead system or magnetic sponsoring or whatever. You're going to fill that out now. And then we're going to get you started doing things that are going to start you making that money and moving in that direction. That cool? I just told him he's joining, right? How many in here tell people to join? Right? A few of you. Works, doesn't it? It works, doesn't it? Right? It works every time. I actually have never gotten a negative response to that. In fact, I've signed people up, and I've used Lead System Pro for this mostly, but I've signed people up to Lead System Pro, they buy it, and then they look at it and they're like, God damn, I bought Lead System Pro again, right? See, because it doesn't even matter what it is. It could be, they're buying shares in a cupcake factory. That's what you buy now, right? Doesn't matter, all right? So here's what I do is I start kind of, bossing them around, right? And in a nice way, telling them what to do, and I give them an assignment, tell them to call me back. And I'm very direct with it. I say, go to the site. I want you to follow these specific steps. When you're done with those steps and not before, I want you to call me back that moment. Can you do that? Well, yeah, right? Now what's he acting like? He's acting like I'm his upline and he's my downline. That make sense? He's already joined, guys, my business. This is how I recruit, all right? So then what I do is he calls me back, and he's done that step, hopefully. If not, I'll give him 2 chances, and then he's out, all right? Calls me back and says, I want to do this. And I said, do you follow my assignment? No. All right, go do that and call me back. That's what I do, all right? When they call me back, here's what I do. I make sure and confirm they've completed the assignment. I re-identify the core need that somebody has, and then I have them look at my company presentation, right? Now, most people wouldn't be bold enough to do that. Everybody on the internet is such fraidy cats of sponsoring people. Oh, I wouldn't want to offend anybody. I'm such a butterfly. I love everyone, right? That's what people act like on the internet. Oh, I would never talk about my company. So they act like all the time. It's freaking ridiculous, all right? So what I do, I don't even tell them what it is. I say, no, so let me give you an example. So let's say Fred has now done something, and he's called me back, right? I say, I make sure he completed it, and then I say, now Frank, when you talked to me originally, you said that you were interested in making $5,000 a month because you're looking at getting out of debt and you hate your job, your boss stinks, and you want to do something else. And I said, is there anything more that I'm missing? And he says, no. I say, Frank, I don't even care if he's in something. To me, it's irrelevant, whatever. A lot of times they're not. A lot of times they are. About a third of the time, they're actually not in an MLM or a direct sales deal or anything. And what I do when I'm on the phone is I say, you serious about that? You kidding around? He says, no, I'm serious. Anything I'm missing? No? Then here's what the next step is. I'm going to invite you to be a part of my inner circle. Now, I don't take everybody. And if you don't do what I say, I won't work with you. Are you in front of a computer? You need to look at something. He says, yeah. And then I send him a capture page that makes him opt in to look at my company. And he goes there and he opts in. I say, you see this video? Pause it. And I say, when I get off the phone in that moment, I want you to watch this video now. Take it seriously. The moment it's done, I want you to call me back. Can you do that? Yeah. 45 minutes later, I'm on the phone enrolling a new rep, right? Virtually every time. Cha-ching, cha-ching. And it could be anything. I mean, you could sell, pantyhose, deal, pays an extra 5% on the 15th level, Probably. Wouldn't matter, right? Because you are now helping a person, right? More than they've ever been helped before. Now, this process here works like a charm. I've taught it like 20 people. It works for everybody, right? I've talked to a bunch of people, and they don't do it, They do things like, I was talking to a guy the other day who's actually really successful, and he says, man, this internet stuff isn't working. I said, well, what are you doing? And he's just expecting it to work, right? Like, I'm going to send them there, and they're going to join automatically. Yes! You know what I mean? Well, that would be great if it was true, is it not? Now, some people can get automatic signups like me. I can do it. Dave Schwinn can do it. I mean, he signed up people without talking to people. Dagan Smith, he can do it. But those are people with big brands, right? If you don't have a big brand and a big budget, stay away from that until you get it going, because you'll go broke trying to get automatic signups, I promise you. Anybody here almost gone broke trying? Right? It's tough. It's tough to do unless you know what you're doing. So how do I enroll a person on the phone? And then I'm going to tell you how to get people to do stuff after this. That'll be fascinating to a lot of you guys. When I'm enrolling somebody on the phone, here's what I do, all right? I basically tell them they're joining in a non-direct way. And I'm going to talk more about language patterns here in a second and how to do that. When I'm on the phone with somebody, I'm usually in Costa Rica, and he'll call me back and he'll say, all right, I looked at the presentation, and I say, Frank, what did you like best about what you saw in that presentation? And he'll tell me. And I say, what do you like? I say, well, so, is it the comp plan? Is it the product? What is it? And he says, well, it's the product. And I say, tell me more specifically about what the product that it is that you liked. And he'll tell me. And I'm looking for, again, the connection. And what I'm going to do is then I'm going to relate that connection to what his need is while I'm on the phone with him. So I'm like, Frank, here's my inner circle. Here's the deal. You're going to join this. I'm going to enroll you here in a second. And then we're going to work together in creating that $5,000 a month game plan. Sound fair? Yeah. And I say, are you in front of your computer right now? And he says, yeah. And I said, go to this website, .com, / David Wood. And I say, tell me when it loads. And while it's loading, how's your wife doing? Talk to him for a second. And I say, see the page? And he says, yeah. I say, see that join now button in the upper left? Yeah. Go ahead and click that button now. Okay. Right, clicks the button. I say, tell me that new page loads. He says, yeah, it loaded. I say, go ahead and scroll down to the bottom of that page. There's a button that says agree and sign up now. It's terms and conditions. You read them later, not when we're on the phone. Go ahead and click that button now. Okay, got that. And I say, see this page? Now it's $495, just like in the presentation. This would work with the more expensive, less expensive stuff too. I say, go ahead and fill this out. And now, are you a guy that can talk while you're filling stuff out, or do you got kind of one track? He said, no, I can talk. I say, well, tell me a little bit more about your kids, You see what I'm doing, though? See, I just told him he's joining, right? And do you know how many people resist that? Like 2 in 10. Everybody wants to be told what to do. And it's hilarious because, for me, I'm like kind of anti-tell what to do. He's just like, wear a suit, Dave. I can't because I'm the amazing MLM guy. Right? But no, really, but most people need to be specifically and exactly directed what to do next, or they don't take action. I've ran into people, for example, in MLSP, when I follow this process I just told you guys now, I use MLSP for this. You guys can use anything you want. You can use Mike Dillard's book for this. I like MLSP for a couple reasons. When I follow this process, I sign up 80% of my new members. Now you say, well, Dave, why don't you recruit them into the company right away? All right, that's a good question, right? Is it not? Some people were asking that in the breakout room the other night. They say, why don't you recruit in the company right away? When you're on the phone, that initial conversation, why don't you just enroll them, right? Anybody wonder that? Let me explain why, all right? Now, I'm very direct about recruiting people, but here's the reason why I don't enroll people in a company right away. Because number one, I want to make sure they have a credit card, all right? Anybody here ever done like a home meeting and somebody wants to join and they give you $1,000 and they say, can we put it on your card? And I'll just pick up my auto ship from your house every month and you can put that on your card too. I don't want to enroll people without credit cards, right? So I make sure they have a credit card. Number two, when you're telling somebody what to do for the first time, it's easier to get them to spend like $50, like $8, $100. A lot of you guys are in Carbon Copy Pro, an application kit. It's easier to get them to buy an application kit than it is to get them into a $40,000 deal. Does it make sense? Right? So I tell them to buy it. I say, you need to buy this now, if you so have the desire, at any time you choose. No refunds. No, I was kidding. But in any case, that's what I do. I tell people what to do. And then I continue that pattern. I continue telling what to do based on what they need or want until they, quit, do something else, succeed massively, become the #1 recruiter, or die, right? That's what I do, right? So, so in any case, that's how to recruit. Does that help anybody clarify how to recruit on the internet? Anybody? Right? Now, who in here is going to recruit at least 500 people next year? Liars. All right. So next thing I want to do is I want to talk about this step of presentation and how to influence people to do stuff while you're talking to them. All right? Now, I'm just going to say this bluntly. All right? Some presentations, I mean, the only person who's going to join is your grandma because she loves you. And I've seen people doing this all the time. And there's really simple things, language pattern stuff, that you can insert into your presentations that make them dramatically more compelling. A couple concepts, all right, that you can put into all your videos. Now, I'm going to warn you, this stuff, guys, if you just look at it blatantly and you read it off of a thing, it sounds ultra manipulative. But if you're doing it very naturally and people do it all the time, it's not manipulative at all. It's how people naturally communicate. All right, so I'm going to talk about a couple of key concepts in recruiting through presentations and getting people to do stuff, which I think is important. Because let me tell you before I get into this, what I discovered that was like my ultimate breakthrough. See, I used to struggle with money. Anybody here have pain with money all the time? Pain, Money equals pain all the time. It's hard to get, when you're poor and you're struggling, or if you're making $15 an hour. I mean, that's like poverty, I was over at a restaurant, a few weeks back, talking to a waitress, and I said, money's trash. Mike Dillard told me. And she said, what are you talking about? And I said, well, this is just paper. I mean, it's no different than toilet paper, other than that it has 100 on it that you think it means something. And I said, watch. And I just tore it up. It was like $50, And I was like, I realized, I said, money doesn't really mean that much to me anymore because I spend a bunch of money and then it's there again the next day, And she was terrified because that was like her week's wages in Costa Rica, right? So, but in any case, here's what I discovered. My ultimate discovery about money is, and this is a big breakthrough, and I became unemotional about it when this happened. And if you're emotionally tied to money, life sucks, all right? This is what I was taught to do to get money. It says, all right, Dave, you're born. Listen to what we do. Go to school, right? Go to school for 18 years. Now, how many of you know that I got Fs almost all the time? Hated school. Still do. Math. I was in the same math class as my little brother. When he was a freshman, I was a senior. He got an A and I got a D. He was in the AP version. I was in the basic version of the math class. I felt smart, but he lives in the parents' basement and I make a bunch of money. So school for 18 years, right? More school. Sit in a cubicle. Be bossed around. Boss is going to tell you what to do. One time I was in a cubicle talking on the phone. I said, boss, can I go to the bathroom? He said, no. Wait for the break. Can't go to the bathroom now. All right, boss. Yes, boss. Yes, boss. Bossed around, and then when you're 65 and you're really excited about traveling around and surfing, you can finally go live the dream. This equals stupidity. Stupid. Now, here's the thing, right? Anybody here, ever heard, is this a scam, right? Because 98% of the people don't make it. Well, guess what? 90% of you guys don't make it. And it takes you 40 years. At least if you fail in this, you only spent $500. You didn't spend $100,000 on it. This is the stupidest shit ever. This is what we're teaching our kids, so my dad's like, all right, get good grades, son. I want you to because I did. So you be like me, be a judge and throw people in jail. My dad did. So essentially, here's what you're doing is you're then sitting for a boss, and the boss is just giving you money. Now, it took me a while to, boss equals giving you money. He's just giving it to you, right? Like he's handing you money for working, right? So in other words, the only way to get money is having somebody give it to you, right? I mean, isn't that a funny concept? I mean, nobody ever thinks about that. How do you get money? Well, somebody has to give you money. All right, I'm checking how much time I have, right? Because I got to teach you guys the top secret thing here in a second. But anyway, so I realized this, and I said, well, what's better, right? Boss giving me money, who can fire me at any time, who treats me like I'm a piece of shit, or thousands of people giving me money all the time, and I don't even have to talk to them. So let's say one of the thousands fires me, and they say, David, it's too hard. I fire you. I'm joining Dillard because the end of the world is tomorrow. I say, well, no big deal. There's lots of more people giving me money every month. So then it became this thing. How can I get lots of people to give me money all the time where they just keep giving it to me all the time? And that's why I like this industry. So how do you do that then? Well, to get people to give you money, you can either do a service thing or you can sell stuff, right? I mean, you'd be a mechanic or you can sell stuff, right? Well, I like selling stuff, and I like to do it through a way that I'm not involved actively in the process. Now, to do that, you got to learn to influence. And here's some things that'll help you with influence. Anybody ever wonder why sometimes when you see a presentation, your hands sweat so bad because you just want to buy? You guys ever got that feeling? Like you're like, I can't. And your hand is just moving and it's signing up, Or like I went to a Danny Johnson meeting, all right? Now she's like this, I don't know like even where, I think she's an alien. But I went to this meeting with Danny Johnson, right? And Danny Johnson's sitting there in this meeting, and she's doing this call to action thing, because we're not allowed to sell from the stage or whatever, right? But she's selling from the stage, right? So she's like doing this deal, right? And like 60% of the room went and they bought everything. And I was like, because I wanted to buy, right? Well, there's a way to do that, and there's a lot of things you can study for that. You can do it through language, you can do it through writing, all right? But to get people to buy stuff, there's a couple things that will help you when you're doing presentations. Number one, I want you guys to realize something. In presentations, there's a state you want people to be in, and I'm going to call it a trance. Now, people get offended that they're like, oh, you're hypnotizing everybody, it's evil, right? And they imagine the people just standing up. Where's your table? I have to buy now. I can't stop it. Marshall Silver kind of does do that, actually. Mike Dillard does too, through reading. And you suddenly have the desire. No, I was kidding. I got to tease him because he makes like 1,000 times more money than me every second. Trance, but a trance we get into several times a day. You guys know that? Like when you're standing with, a group of friends and you're talking and time just kind of freezes and all you see is 5 group of people around you and you're just having fun and a blast and you're in the moment. That's just a normal daily trance where you're driving down the road and you're kind of looking at the road and you're listening to music and you're just in the flow of things, and then all of a sudden you're at work. Right? How'd I get here, right? That happens to me more often than I'd like. Just stay away from me on the road, right? It happens to you in good presentations, you also induce trance. Now, here's a thing that I learned a long time ago, is that there's 2 types of language. There's ambiguous, right? And there's specific. Now, I do this all the time, and I do it on purpose, all right? And there's a reason why I do this stuff. Ambiguity in language induces trance. Specific language all the time pulls people out of trance, all right? So a lot of people, and there's some people that can pull it off through good copywriting, they just tell people facts all the time. Well, folks, facts without stories and metaphors and allegories, they don't stick with people. Because how many people even remember how many trillions of dollars we're in debt? I mean, I can't even think of it, you know? But you know what I remember? I remember people marching through the streets with shotguns because they need food because we've had hyperinflation, and I better join now, right? So ambiguity induces trance, specifics bring people out of trance, and a lot of people are very boring and they don't tell stories when they're doing their presentations. Guess what people want to connect to? Why do I tell that van story all the time? Because it's the hero archetype. It's an archetype of what happens, right? Like there's a lot of people in this audience I know right now who you're struggling right now and you're feeling pain in your business and you're wondering, is there that one thing I can get from this presentation that's going to change my business, right? And you relate to that archetype. So I tell it all the time because I know at any moment, at any time, no matter where I am, 98% of the population fits that archetype. Most people are struggling and some part of their life sucks and they wish they could be a hero. They not? That's ambiguous language, folks. Stories, metaphors, allegories, right? A couple of other things. Now, Mark Hoverson is the best person I've ever seen at this. I'm going to tell this, and I got 5 minutes, and I got to wrap things up. So Mark Hoverson, right, never stops with this nonsense, even at 2 in the morning. He goes in, and so we're standing there, and we're late at night, and he says, you know, the other day, Dave, I was having a conversation with a friend, and it was, you know, after I was done doing a presentation. And he said, and I said to him, you know, even though the presentation's over, should you just desire to walk to my room, I've still got some applications sitting there that you can fill out at any time. If you wanted to, decide now. Hey, Mark, stop this. It's 2 in the morning, you know? But there's things that you do, right, where you embed call to actions through a presentation. Mike Dillard did it like 50 times through the presentation. Most of the people in this wouldn't notice that. They just feel the desire to get up and buy, not knowing why they felt like they wanted to buy everything. Right? There's something called an embedded command that you can put into language patterns when you're talking, all right? These are useful things to know. They really are. Now, you could sound ultra manipulative with it and be like, when you decide to take action by standing up and filling out the order form that I have in the back, you know? Or you could do it very naturally and you could just pop them into sentences, all right? But these things, and even if you're a good speaker and you sell and you're not doing this on purpose, you're doing it, right? So there's little things that you can do. Now, here's what I'm going to suggest to everybody, a couple of things. Number one, because I only got a few minutes left, I'm going to encourage you guys to get a bunch of courses and listen to stuff all the time. Why? Because, you know, a lot of you guys, you know how, I'm going to end with this, and this is something that's really, really important to understand. A lot of times people resist buying things, right? Because they don't want to spend money, right? So they're resisting it. Got to look at the time. They're resisting it. And by resisting it and not allowing them to go through that process, what they do is they don't have the ability to understand what your prospects are going through when they're making decisions. You're resisting it, and by doing so, your unconscious mind, you're telling your unconscious mind that you don't like stuff being sold, right? It's important to buy stuff when you want it. It really is. Last story, and then I'm going to get into the point here. I'll tell you a story of a prospect I had about a week ago. I called him back after he called me back. We were missing each other. I got a hold of him, and he said, you know, Dave, I really want to join. He says, but I can't. I don't have money. How many of you have heard the no money thing? Guys, come on. How many? Let me ask you guys a question real quick to prove a point. This is going to be so illustrative. It's so exciting. All right. If you guys, how many people in here said I don't have the money before you joined? Be honest. Come on. All right. Well, 1 out of 10 people. So guess what that shows you? People who don't have the money join anyways, do they not? It's bullshit. Bullshit. I lived in a van. Come on, don't tell me you don't have money. So somebody said I don't have money, and I asked him, I qualified it. I asked him a specific question. I said, let me ask you a question. Do you really not have your money? Are you that poor? Or are you just afraid of joining? Guess what he said? I'm just afraid. And I said, guess what you're then doing to your prospects? He wanted to say, oh, let's make some affiliate money and then I'll spend. Psst, that's stupid, right? Guess what he told me? I said, here's what I said to him. I said, by doing that, here's what you're telling your prospects. You're telling them you don't have to join, go make some money first, and then come back and join when you have money. Guess what happens if your prospects do that? You never make any gosh danged money. Doesn't that suck?